the issue. Here you are, you're sitting behind your desk. And you've got to determine what's going to go over the front of this desk. Is it going to be emails, dealing with compliance, which is important, doing a bunch of reading, listening to voicemail, or is it going to be out getting in front of clients on purpose, either existing clients or new client opportunities? And therein, I think, lies a very interesting issue. So often when I'm talking to clients and I say, now, how does your day start? Well, I like to come in and do my emails. And I'll set up, and I say to them, I'll bet your email drives your day. Well, as a matter of fact, it does. I said, why don't you do it late in the day? Why don't you do it 3 or 4 in the afternoon? Why don't you drive your day based upon what's really important in your business? And not let things like emails and compliance requirements and whatnot drive your day. And therein lies the beginning of driving some activity. What I've noticed, and I've worked with over, and this isn't the be-all and end-all, I'm just going to make a comment. I've worked with over 50 firms, financial firms that have at least $1 million of revenue. I just say that's not the be-all or end-all, but clearly from a revenue perspective, there's some success there. What I observe is those that are successful kind of average between 12 and 20 meetings a week. And those that aren't are doing 3 and 5. Pretty Lombardi basics here, right? I mean, Pete Rose, who I think still owns the record for most hits, I think he's up at the plate most of the time, more times too. So it does come back to having some activity. And I'm going to speak to you a little bit about how do I create that activity. Well, one of the first ways you should start is by making sure that you're looking after your current clients. Economics, Business 101 says it's always easier to look after a current client than it is to go find a new client, right? So, do you have a solid contact management system in place? And when I ask a client that, they say, oh yeah, I've got Goldmine, or I've got Maximizer. That's not a contact management system, that's just part of it. In my view, a good solid contact management system has a solid segmentation process in place. It has a solid relationship management system in place. It has a good process. And then you use technology, your gold mine, or whatever it is, to make it all work. So let's look at segmentation for a minute. So we've done a lot of work with Sun Life advisors. And those of you who are with Sun Life, they like to, you know that the company likes to segment based upon core value. But you can have someone who's got the greatest core value with no potential for new business, the biggest pain in the ass you've ever dealt with. Why would you want them as part of your top segment? So we recommend to clients that when they're segmenting their clients, they take in other factors. Potential, influence. I have one of my clients who has the chief of police in his area as a center of influence. That chief of police, every year anyone retires, he makes sure that that new retiree goes to see my client. I'd say I'd want to treat him kind of as one of my best clients, wouldn't you? So influence is obviously an issue here. You know, potential. Do you get energy? We dealt with a client about a year ago who was in a very poor environment, and we helped that individual move into a different environment. It's interesting to see the results of that individual's having this year, record year, because they're not losing their energy based upon the environment they're in. And you know, that's one of the things that's really important, is that you've got to protect your energy and grow your energy as you're going along. And so, you know, having that. So again, when you're dealing with your best clients, are they giving you energy? Hopefully they are. If they're not, then I downgrade them a little bit. So those are just some factors that I look at in terms of segmentation. And we quite often will help our clients build a bit of a matrix so they can help them determine who are my best clients, who are my next best, etc. And then once you've got your segmentation done, then what we like to do is build a relationship management strategy. And we actually like to create a paper that outlines, for my best clients, my platinum clients, how many times am I going to see them? Are they going to have a plan? Is it going to, how often is it going to be updated? What are some of the other touch points, like birthdays, special birthdays, anniversaries that you might want to do, a print medium? So actually build an on-purpose strategy. And one of the things that we find that's been very helpful with our clients, that when they've identified who their best clients is, to understand who those best clients, what their form is. In other words, What's going on in their family? What's their family all about? What's going on in their occupation, their business life? What's going on in their recreational interests? And then finally, of course, what's going on with their money? And we found that when advisors get to know their best clients and get to know their best clients' form, wow, the relationship deepens, the amount of engagement deepens, and interesting enough, the opportunities for introductions from your best clients, who, by the way, hang around with people just like themselves, is also there. And so we really want to do a great job with their best clients. So one of the things that a lot of our clients are doing now is they have 2 meetings a year with their best clients. The first one's kind of a review meeting, and they go through the plan and whatnot. And then the second one is just a relationship building lunch. Sometimes they do it on the client's birthday, where they just spend time talking about what's going on in the client's life, what's going on with the firm, what services are they valuing from the firm, what kind of feedback can they get, so that, again, they really build a strong relationship. Because in all the studies I'm sure that you've seen around introductions and around building great clients, you want them as engaged as possible with your firm. And then, of course, I talked about having a process in place. I've never found a process that's worked with the advisor drove the process. It always has to be assigned to some member of the staff, some member of the team that's going to be the champion of this, that's going to use the technology and make sure, if we say, well, look, we're going to see client X, we're going to do a review in May, and we're going to have a breakfast, or we're going to have lunch with them on their birthday, which happens to be November. It needs to be a staff member that kind of brings that to the attention of the advisor and get the stage set up. So let's go back to the activity again. So if you've got a solid contact management system, one of the things that you'll find out is you know how many meetings do I have committed to look after my current clientele. And so in this case, the advisor's working 44 weeks a year. They want to have 12 meetings a week. That means they have a total of 528 spots in their calendar. Their contact management system, because we now know what we're going to deliver in terms of relationship management strategies, 320, that leaves us with 208 potential meetings for adding new clients, which is the other part of the activity system that you really need to have in place. So this is a slide that talks about all the stuff that's happened to you as an advisor over the last few years, you know, around your environment. I mean, consumers certainly changed, haven't they? How have they changed, would you guess? Would you say?
Fickle.
Fickle?
Much more knowledgeable.
Much more? More knowledgeable?
Greater expectations.
I mean, they're reading the paper around these MERs and you know, more skeptical. Of course, the markets aren't very favorable to us and haven't been very favorable to us since 2008. The financial services industry has certainly changed a lot. I remember one day Bob Ritzer, I don't know how many in the room would remember Bob Ritzer's name, he's now retired. He phoned me and he said, Art, I want to know what the rule is around an RBC stockbroker selling one of my clients a Manulife financial policy. And I thought, oh my God. The ball game has changed, and it's changed a lot. So, you know, here's a, I'm going to get my glasses out here. One of the things that happens, Dennis, by the way, the only accuracy in all that information about Art Schooley was that he is 67 years of age. I don't own an airline. I'm not a cowboy. At least I don't think I am. But I just want to read you, this is I'm just going to read a couple sentences from this Seattle Times, and if you want a copy of this, there's a little spot in your checkbox there, you can send it here. And I want to ask you this question. When was this article written? So here it goes. People are starting to make serious, nervous jokes about pulling their money out of shaky U.S. banks and stashing it under the mattresses. The banking crisis is no joke. It is real. So real, it risks turning the emergent recession into the biggest economic nightmare since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Can anyone tell me what year that article was written?
2008.
Pardon me?
2008.
When?
2008.
No. 1990. My point is that we go through these cycles all the time. I remember walking on the beach in 2008, the fall of 2008, when all the nonsense started, the most recent time. And who do I run into but Fred Ketchum? Anyone know who Fred Ketchum is?
Sure.
Scotia McLeod. And Fred and I spoke on a platform one day, and so I introduced myself again and said, you know, Fred, you might remember we spoke together, and he was very kind about that. And I said, Fred, what do you make of what's going on right now? He said, Art, and of course Fred's been around 100 years. Art, you gotta understand something. In free enterprise, we build up excesses, and now we gotta peel those excesses away and get back going again. And that's really what we're going. You know, we went through the time with the Clintons in the 90s and whatnot, and you know, it didn't seem like anything could ever go wrong, but there's a whole bunch of excesses built up, and that's what's happening, and we're paying that piper right now. And you know, whether it's deficits, in government deficits that shouldn't have been run up in 90s when things were good, but here we are. And so this is true. And so of course the whole issue here is, how do you help your clients keep a balanced approach? Because these Seattle Times articles are there all the time. And this isn't the last time we're going to see some kind of an issue, I'm sure.